Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Agriculture is our focus today, and as you are aware, the president recently, launched 2,000 no less tractors for agricultural use. The instance was described by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, as the single largest mechanization drive ever undertaken in agriculture in Nigeria. Okay, to evaluate it, and of course we'll also be taking your contributions to the matter, our first guest this morning is Mr. Solomon Oyeniran. Mr. Oyeniran is the CEO of Osua Foods. He's also a certified food scientist of Nigeria. He's very much, he keeps a very close eye on agricultural developments. Thank you very much, sir, and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, sir.
It is our pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Now, the single largest mechanization drive ever undertaken in Nigeria, that would point to the seriousness of purpose of the Tinubu administration. Well, in your memory, comment on that statistic released by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You will recall some times ago when President Tinubu himself declared state of emergency about 2 years ago, if I am not mistaken, about I think July or so, 2 years ago, 2023, he declared a state of emergency on food security in Nigeria. And then he had a vision for Nigeria.
Okay.
And part of that plan is, I think, is what he's trying to execute for food security.
Indeed, he actually said so. He said as much.
Yes. So I have been following through all his track records, and I see that this is a very good starting point for us in Nigeria, because everything has a strategy. And I think President Tinubu is a strategist. He's a master strategist. Forget about it. So this initiative, bringing in about not only 2,000 tractors as he brought harvesters,
That's
he brought other machineries for the Ministry of Agriculture. And I believe the Ministry of Agriculture is going to do what is right with those machineries, to smallholder farmers, to bring women into agriculture is what we are trying to reduce poverty to the barest minimum in Nigeria. This is just a starting phase. I think so.
Indeed. Indeed, it's very much as the president at the launch was sort of itemizing that the ambition, it extends beyond mere self-sufficiency. If all goes well, there's nothing preventing us from, first of all, ascertaining our own food security and then exporting. That's the kind of place that we should be in, and it seems like is determined to go there, because as you rightly pointed out, it's not just 2,000 tractors. There are other, well, I won't call them bits and pieces, but there are other implements, all of which is for boosting food production.
Yes.
And at the same time, also taking a stab at youth unemployment, because the idea is that now this is going to keep the youth, engaged.
Yes.
So perhaps it's not far from the truth when the minister observed that it was the single largest mechanization drive ever recorded in Nigeria now for agriculture. Now, we've heard of tractors being made available before. We don't quite know, at least I don't know, the mechanics for this. Will they just be issued? Are they to be paid back? What is the norm in these kind of situations?
I think the first thing the minister has to do is to aggregate the farmers that they are going to benefit from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, aggregate them, then involve them in capacity building, how to go, how to use these tractors, then how to their farming processes, give them extension workers for their farms, and train them and some other things, so that, because I think what President Tinubu is looking at, as you have said, is not only food sufficiency, but having healthier foods, nutritious foods for us in Nigeria. And this is just a start, as I have said. The only hindrances that I can see is maybe if the farmers may not be able to do what they're supposed to do because of insecurity.
Okay. So, pari passu, we have to be also taking care of the security, because what would be the point if farmers are not able to visit their farms?
Yes, that is a very, very crucial issue. Like we have in Benue, like the charming president has visited Benue State, visited the victims of the massacre, visited. So I think he's going to, and he has proclaimed that those culprits will be dealt with.
Oh yes.
So I think he is going to do something about insecurity this time, because Benue is one of the hubs that we have in Nigeria. Recall that Niger State had some tractors, I think about 2 years ago or thereafter, from John Deere, the one of the giant
manufacturers.
Yes, one of the giant manufacturers in Nigeria. So when we have,
well, sorry, sir, I don't know how involved you are in, but I have heard that one of the problems with John Deere, or Deere as you called it, is that they don't allow anything outside of their own orbit. It's a sort of a monopoly, and I wonder, it's one thing to say, oh, these are quite advanced, you bring them in, but you can't actually outsource anything about them. You have to always be going back to them. I was just reading that, well, in America, they're very big, but this is one of the situations that the John Deere tractors have always presented. So I don't know what brand these ones are. I just hope that if there are going to be any kind of blind spots like that, they would have been adequately discussed beforehand.
Yes.
Say, look, we're quite far away from America. If farmers in America are complaining about John Deere and his tractors and the availability of parts, you must come back to John Deere. You will not do it by yourself. It doesn't matter how good your mechanical workshop is. A representative of John Deere will come. And so those kind of situations, I don't know, our situation here, we can't afford that. Although nobody has said that they are John Deere tractors, though. It might well be that somebody who is listening to this might be, a tractor, agricultural machinery expert, and might be able to shed light on that particular idea. But it's just when you mention that particular brand, I said, well, this sort of reminds me. But as you were saying earlier, sir, this first phase of this initiative, it includes deployment of not just the 2,000 advanced tractors, there are also 50 industrial-grade land preparation bulldozers. Yeah. And then there are 12 fully equipped mobile workshops and over 8,000 specialized farming implements. Yeah. So, and then in addition to this, we heard that there's an agreement, a commitment with Belarus to a program that will empower our youths and teach them how to do things and get them off the streets.
Sir, I think the initiative of Mr. President, as we have, is he has so many initiatives, but part of what I think is planned for the youths is coming to agriculture itself. So when the youths are empowered in agriculture through capacity building, all these banditry that we have and some other things, because agriculture is lucrative.
It is.
The food value chain is lucrative. So there is no place, I mean, there is no chain in the value chain that when these youth are trained, that they won't excel. So when we have such an initiative, it's going to, is a shared prosperity for everyone.
Okay.
So these are very good, brilliant moves, bold moves for our country this time.
And well, it seems like pretty well thought out too, because it's one thing to just announce the, acquisition and distribution of so many tractors, 2,000, but then it looks like all the ancillary services have also been added. You know that all these people, all these things need to be serviced. I imagine there will also be, when you start getting to the granular situation, there no doubt will have to be also engineering and mechanical workshops as well to take care of these
for
things.
The spare parts.
That's right.
Yes, as you were saying.
And the servicing. Yes.
Yes, the servicing and the spare parts. I think they should have put that into the plan. The spare parts.
I'm sure. Business analyst as well as being a farmer yourself. But I was also added that there was a time when you were telling me that farming had become so problematic that you were even considering at the time whether to pull out or not.
Many people, in fact, more or less,
to pull out or not.
Many people, in fact, more or less, like they're stuck. That's the reason why many are still in agriculture. And the question we should be asking us, in the past couple of years, how many young people and how many new entrants are actually choosing agriculture as their first business of choice? Those are the kinds of things we should. So definitely, it's not really got better. As a matter of fact, it's scary because if we get into the near future, the way and manner things are going, feeding in this country, especially producing locally, might be a bit of a problem because one, to make matters worse, so, you don't do agriculture mostly in the urban center, you do in the suburban and rural communities, and these are the areas that are presently challenged when it comes to insecurity. So things haven't really
essence. It's no good having all of this, and given the terrain in which farming usually happens, that you've spoken about, we can't have farmers terrified or scared of going to their farms. It'll all come down to naught. So, but I wanted you to assess what the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abba Kyari, has referred to in this particular exercise as the single largest mechanization drive ever undertaken in Nigeria, as a way of hailing it.
Okay. Before we pat ourselves on the back, especially with regards to the 2,000 tractors, we should look at quite a number of things. Okay. First and foremost, I would be interested in the business model that is behind this idea of importing 2,000 tractors, and are we sharing them, to the states? And if we are doing that, that comes down to 37 states. That is counting the FCT as one of the states. It comes down to about 74 tractors per state conservatively. Now the question is this: if that is the situation, on what basis are these tractors being shared among the states? What are the kind of arrangement like MOUs with the state, particularly on how to utilize this, and then how to? I believe it will have to be paid for, except perhaps it's a grant or it's just free, freebies for the states. And besides, too, and what are the real expectations, for these tractors? Some of them, yes, you mentioned issue of land preparation, for instance. We can also be talking about logistics and the issue of moving of things from one place to another. That's transportation of post-harvest products. So, but the issue is this: what plans or what arrangements are we having with the subnationals, that is the states now, under this arrangement? And then, of course, are we just giving out this just to the states or to farmers randomly anywhere in the country? I remember the era when tractor hiring units were very popular. What made them to fail, for instance? I hope we're not going back to such kind of situation, in which case the tractors would become, and again, this is a problem. We're in a politically charged environment. How many of these tractors will eventually end up in the backyards of some senators, of some ministers, of some, politically exposed people, and may not eventually get to the farmers? And how are the farmers actually expected to assess and benefit from this? Those are the things we will be interested in. It's not just about, bringing tractors and then displaying them and all of that. It's for the optics. What is important is how do they get to the end beneficiaries, and how will they assess this, and how will they make use of it, and then at what time of the year would the use of these tractors be bogged down by official protocols and red tapeism? These are some of the issues that will be of concern to us. And then let me not forget to mention TOAN, that is Tractor Owners and Operators Association of Nigeria, a private sector body that is actually into this business of hiring out of tractors. Is the government working with these kind of organizations? Those are the things that would be of interest to someone like me, for instance, for effect. Otherwise, it will just be more like, for the optics, and that is not what we are looking for.
That's not what we are hoping for. Okay. As you just heard, Mr. Oyenino, these are the kind of concerns that probably will affect any professional. But again, I would assume that the experts that are, involved with managing all of this would no doubt have heard, would have thought about all these actions. We surely, I don't imagine that it's going to be some sort of a bonanza where tractors are going to be given out freely. I doubt that. But for it to be effective, for the use to be effective, the president had said that boosting our food production is the most important part of all of this. So I can't see them, but I would like to hear your commentary on this matter. I can't see them making it difficult to acquire. If in this day and age, when I think it was said that we can't be using 18th century methods for, the agriculture of today, I would just take it for granted. If we were to just, maybe I shouldn't, because Dr. Oyeleye is there and he doesn't want to take anything for granted.
Okay.
But if we assume that, all of those things are not problems, will 2,000 tractors and all the rest of it, would it not significantly boost our productive capacity?
Yes, sir. It's going to, but looking at the population.
And he has divided it up into states. Say, how many can each state expect to
looking
receive?
looking at the population, it's still not enough. It's still not enough.
Big as it is, it's
big, but you see, we are large, and what we consume is large. If you go through the data, you are going to see that and as you have said, we are not only looking at consumption for Nigerians, and you said we are also looking at exports.
Yes.
So before we get to exports, we have to make Nigerians sufficient. And
become self-sufficient in food production.
You understand? We have to make it sufficient. But before I go into utilization, is the question you asked about the maintenance of these tractors, and if and how are these tractors going to be distributed?
Yes.
Who are the farmers that are going to benefit from it? So do they have like a list of farmers or a registered farmers that they are going to give these tractors to and so on? So all these things are one side. Now, we say that, okay, we want to make food sufficient for Nigeria. Okay, tractors are in, extension workers, they've assigned extension workers for farmers, and you have, now food is coming. Presently in Nigeria, the rate of food loss and waste we have is about 40%. So if we now have additional excesses for sufficiency, how are we going to do that? The only solution, we have a very good expert in the Nigerian Stored Product Research Institute, Professor Lateef Soni, who is heading an agency of government under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. So I think he will be able to talk much about how we are going to preserve the foods that we are producing, if it will be sufficient. That is, if it will be sufficient, how we're going to...
If all of that infrastructure is going to be adequate.
Yes, it's going to be adequate then.
To take care of the added, volume of production.
That is one. Then the second one is, how are we going to be preserving all these foods and storing them for Nigerians?
That's
The third phase will be that I love what the Federal Ministry of Health has done. They have highlighted and have a robust plan on food safety management system for Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. And the implementation is on now. It's only for President Tinubu is drive for food security now to accent to the National Policy on Food Safety and Security, Food Safety and Quality 2023. So if he does that, then we now have an holistic, when we have the Federal Ministry of Agriculture giving us sufficient food, then the Federal Ministry of Health is here, that is making sure that the foods that we are producing in Nigeria is safe and nutritious for Nigerians. Because if the foods are not safe and nutritious, then
there will be that's going to be another problem.
Yes.
Look, coming back to you, Dr. Oyele, the point he raises, and I think you have also, spoken on such figures before in previous programs, the wastage that goes on. He's put it at around 40%. Now, if this initiative, as I said, for the moment, taking aside all the unknowns, if it boosts production, one imagines that working with a 40% wastage rate before, if something is not done to the food storage infrastructure, architecture, whatever you want to call it, then there's going to be a lot going down the drain there. So I imagine that there also are a number of other aspects of this, all of which come under agriculture. 2,000 tractors, all the mobile workshops and all of those here. But if all of this now results in a big boost in production, what happens to the wastage that used to stand around 40%? Isn't that going to go up as well unless decided measures are actually in progress right now?
Okay. We hope, actually, it's one's hope and expectation that there will increase in food production. And with this mechanization, of course, there ought to be an increase in production, and that would be a good thing for the country. You just mentioned the issue of agricultural waste. Of course, we need to fix agricultural value chains in Nigeria, all across commodities, and that's where there's a problem. There is information value chain, it is missing, it's problematic. There's financial value chain, it is missing, it is problematic. I had the second man, the man in the studio, talking about extension services.
Mr. Yeniro.
Despite the large population of extension graduates that we have in this country, only a very limited or very small percentage of them are actually employed in the agricultural sector. So extension value chain is also problematic. And then, of course, when we talk about, I cannot stress the issue of information value chain too much, because You know also that I'm also, someone who is vast in the media. So we are not communicating much about what goes on in the agricultural sector. It is a problem. So therefore, agricultural value chains will have to be taken more seriously than ever before. It is while doing this that we will be able to, cut down, not entirely, eliminate waste. Really, even in developed part of the world, there's a lot of post-harvest wastage at various levels. So, but we can cut this down drastically, and in cutting it down, there are no opportunities for solution providers along these value chains. And those are some of the areas we need to carry along. And the interesting thing about this is that they are not going to be involved in the primary production, but they will be involved in value addition, in storage, in processing, in logistics, and then in finance. So, and if market information service is of essence here. We have a disjointed way of communicating about agricultural produce in this country. A few smart Nigerians take advantage of that. They act as middlemen. They do what you and I will call uh, uh, like they take advantage of that gap in short. And the speculation, that's what I'm looking for. They do market speculation. They buy at the big period of the harvest when prices are rock bottom, and then they keep them, and then they watch the market. When the prices are high, they bring them out. Some people who want to be political in the interpretation of this, they call it hoarding. It is not hoarding. It is business. And those who are smart enough to take advantage of it, of course, so be it. But if the government can take advantage of the massive power within its reach, especially in the ministries that have to do with food production, and use the services of those that are employed to be able to put this in place, of course, we will be able to reduce a lot of our food wastage. We can cut it down to the barest minimum. Then, of course, it provides opportunities for the players all across these various value chains. So, definitely, yes, if we produce a lot more food, it's a good thing for this country. But as we are producing, we shouldn't look at only one side. We should look at the side of what comes after. How do we
I hear you. Okay. One moment, please. Let me bring in Mr. Joshua. Thank you, Mr. Joshua in Irewale, for holding on. Go ahead now, please. Mr. Joshua in Irewale, good morning to you, sir. Hello, can you hear us? Joshua Irewale, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, okay. Please continue. I just heard you begin, but then something happened. Could you begin again, please? Please go ahead.
Okay, Uncle Yori, thank you very much. If you can hear me now,
I can hear you. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I greet you, sir, and I guess there's an angle that we should also add to what the conversation that is going on.
Sure.
That is that mechanized farming is pivotal to solving the security problem in Nigeria. Most of the forests that we have that are not being used at the moment are supposed to be reserved for agriculture. Most of them. It's because of this absence of agriculture that these forests are left unused, and they are now in the hands of wrong people. I would say that for agriculture to succeed in Nigeria, we need private partnership with government to drive it, especially this mechanized agriculture. If we have a Dangote in the oil sector, an Otedola in the oil sector, and the rest of them, who exactly is there in the agricultural sector? Why are people not interested? It's because I think we have a huge problem, whether through enforcement of reforms and all that, that is making private sector people not to invest in agriculture. But today, we have food insecurity. We have big problem of no food in Nigeria, which is not supposed to be. Uncle Yori, this is very, very important. yes, has mentioned one thing, that those tractors will disappear into the hands of politicians. Some of them will go and park them as if they bought new cars. That is the situation we have in Nigeria. They don't know the value of things, even politicians or the high-value people there. So I would make this suggestion. In 1993, after Hope 1993 by Abiola, Abiola's son, Kola Abiola, did something similar to this. I was part of the people that managed the farm he was supposed to deploy that time in Kwara State then, right now Kogi State. It was somewhere around Songhai, around there. A lot of tractors were deployed into that farm. Today, that farm did not succeed because of political issues, right? That farm didn't take off. And it was a huge project back then, right? Because of political issues. Now, food should not be taken as a political material. It should be something that is vital. Because when you feed the people, you solve the problem of security almost 60%. Right. And then you capture the forest. You have solved the problem further by 20%. And then the rest will be history.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Joshua, for calling in. I'll just quickly take a break now. Okay, welcome back. Our guests are still in place. We have the CEO of SOA Foods and Certified Food Scientist of Nigeria, Mr. Solomon Oyeniran. We also have with us Dr. Olukayode Oyeleye. He's an agricultural business analyst, and I still like to call him a farmer. He has said that there are challenges, but this is a man who was practically into farming, but he's explained some situations. Thank you both gentlemen for staying with us. Now let me come to, we have Mr. George on the line. Let me take care of that first. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
And greetings to your guests.
Okay.
Uncle Yori, what I saw yesterday in the launching is a very huge project. I want to implore the Minister of Agriculture to borrow a list from ministers of FCT, Minister of Internal Affairs, and Minister of Work. They always come to the public and tell the public what they are doing, how they came to those conclusions, and how it's going. These machines, like Mr. Joshua said, will go into the limbo if they are not monitored. The minister should be transparent about where these machines are going. What is the formula of distribution? I expected all that metrics to be put in place even before the machines are in place. We want to see how it shouldn't be allowed to go the way of anchor borrowing program, where billions of naira was given to non-existent farmers. This one mustn't go that way. The Minister of Agriculture should please be talking to us. We want transparency in this project. Okay. Even if private investors were to come into this sector, they want to see transparency. They don't want to see corruption. They invest money into a huge project like this, and at the end of the day, they don't make profit from it because of lack of transparency. See the machine, see the number, and see the extent that the president is taking it. We must not allow this one to fail. And one way it cannot fail is for the minister to be transparent about what he's doing. I heard what the other speaker online is saying. And it should be the government should take interest in the suggestions that this man is making. That's just what I want to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. George, for calling in. I want to pick up on something that Joshua in Iriwolete raised. Where exactly are the Dangotes, so to speak, of the agricultural sector? If Dangote, we have a Dangote, we have an Otedola, we have a BUA, we have all of these, many of them exceedingly rich Nigerians in that sector, in the oil sector. What is it that doesn't make it attractive? Joshua was telling us how he was involved in, an MKO Abiola farm, but then somehow things went awry. So, and I remember back in the day, Saraki in Kwara also, had this whole idea about bringing in, were they South African farmers or Jewish farmers or something like that. So, but to come back to the question, why don't we have such investors coming? What is it that is it what we've been talking about? They're afraid of the insecurity because they must know. We've heard that it's a highly profitable area.
The agricultural value chain is very lucrative, and I think the problem, the challenge is that is driving people away from agriculture is insecurity in Nigeria. About 10 years ago, we saw that even out the former Minister of Agriculture, which is Audu Ogbe, while he was there, he too had his own plans, but it was the insecurity that that scattered everything. You see, the agriculture in Nigeria, apart from feeding the people, there is industrialization, which we have the multinationals that are going to, buy your products. They are going to push money to you so that you are going to farm for them. But the problem, the challenge is the insecurity that we have in Nigeria. Because if you have like 5,000 hectares of land or maybe 50,000 hectares of land and you bring mechanization in, how safe are you? Okay,
so we go back to that point of insecurity.
Yes.
Let me go. AIG Durosimi retired. Good morning to you, sir. AIG Durosimi retired. Good morning, sir. Go ahead right now, please.
Good morning, Uncle, and the people at the studio.
Thank you, sir.
My contribution is that we must ensure what the president has done is just to tell Nigerians again that he's ready and is able to solve Nigerian problems. Getting the machinery here is very important. Maintenance is very important. Security of the machine during the planting season and during the harvesting season, and including the farmers, is very, very important. And we must realize that not everybody can get these big machineries because they're going to be expensive. We must start looking for the small ones, the handheld machines that can actually reach the common man, the real farmer at the grassroots.
But there are some of those.
In other countries, they have these handheld machines that will do almost the same thing the big machines will do.
Okay.
That can easily be purchased or be loaned to farmers than this big one.
Okay.
I hope this one will not end up with city farmers instead of the farmers at the rural area.
Okay.
And what the president can do again, he let us modernize our livestock agriculture. I think the Ministry of Livestock should do the same thing. Bring in the actually hybrid cows that we can rear in our ranches. If anybody thinks these old cargo cows can do well in the ranches, we are wasting our time. Let's go to other parts of the world where they have modern one, hybrid one, that can actually be in the ranches. The issue of moving cows from one point to another will not be there again. Thank you, Mr. Folani.
Thank you very much for calling in, sir. AIG Durosimi retired. Let me come to you, Dr. Oyeleye, to bring that same question to you. We've heard that security is of an essence when we ask the question, where is the Dangote of the agricultural sector? If he is doing what he is doing in the petroleum sector, the BUAs, if you want, the $10, why are they not there? Does it come down, in a simplistic sort of way to, there is no security. There is no security, and so those people are not going to come and put their resources there. Or give me your take on this whole matter, sir.
Well, there's this common saying that you put your money where your mouth is. And that's exactly what those who mentioned are doing. And you can't fault them for that. And when you talk about the relative risk, of course, there are risks in almost all areas of investment. But the ones you can have greater control over are the ones, as an investor, that you want to put your money into. And that's exactly what they are doing. Monitoring agriculture won't be as easy as the businesses, the other businesses they are doing, like oil-related business, oil and gas, and the losses, the risks generally, associated with farming, are such that they have to, actually weigh and calculate their risk before they go headlong. And I think this is very, very essential for us to know. So if they are not putting their money as much into agriculture as they are into oil and gas, they understand when it comes to the issue of this. If they want to borrow money from the bank for farming, the bankers are not likely to be as eager to lend the money to them for farming purposes as they will to oil-related business. These are some of the things we should look at. And we understand a bit of this, and so it's easy to know why they are not getting into it. And then you talk about insecurity. Are they going to now create their own army, or forest rangers, or forest guards, or whatever? And they don't have much control on security. So that is one of the things they will look at. And then, of course, a lot of wastage by way of mishandling theft and even weather-related losses. They will look at so many different aspects of risks before they actually plunge into farming of any sort. So I can understand. And now,
all right.
having said that much, I think the onus then is on us, particularly, to focus more attention on the small-scale farmers that have been feeding this country consistently over the years. And then, those scaled up, should be helped to scale up. And then the idea of mechanization should be promoted across the board, which is one of the things we are talking about, tractorization and all of that. Now, a tractor like this serves a lot of purposes, from not only land preparation, but you talk about issues of logistics, moving end product from the farm, to especially in rural communities that have road challenges. Distance of about 2-3 kilometers, not pliable by vehicle, can easily be accessed by tractors, and they can use the trailers attached to the tractors to move agricultural produce massively to suburban or urban centers. And those are the kinds of things we should be emphasizing. So
one moment, sir. Okay, sir, go on. End with your take. So your own take is.
I can hear you.
I wanted you to end, sir. You said your take on this, therefore, is that.
My take, therefore, is to look at the multi-dimensional aspect of the use of technology and mechanization. In particular, when we talk about a tractor, for instance, the multi-dimensional use, especially to be able to cut, down the downtime. It's not enough to buy this tractor and keep. How can they be made use of all year round?
All right. I'll come back. I'll come back to you, sir. I'll come back to you on this because AIG Drosimi retired. Part of what he said was that he was of the opinion that, look, these tractors are fine, but you also spoke about the need to develop small-scale farmers, and I think AIG Drosimi was going in that direction when he said that, look, there are smaller, implements that probably could be more widely dispersed to help these kind of people. But as I'm speaking, I'm also holding up Mazi Okoroafo, who has called in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, our guest. Sayori, see, the tractor, the mechanization system is very, very good. But what I want the federal government to do the needful, let's expand this project. At least we know we have 800 and something watts in Nigeria. Let us get tractors where possible. Let the local government and the state government come and invest so that these tractors will reach the community, will reach all this world. So that we need food. When we have excess food, nobody is going to talk about hunger. Nobody is going to talk about poverty. But the question is that if you look between that time the president launched it now, what people are complaining that the farm is not secure.
All right.
The hunters we are talking about, let us get these hunters, take care of the farm. So
this keeps on coming up. Thank you very much, Mazi Okora, for bringing up this whole question about security must go side by side with it. Quite frankly, I want to be careful of not to launch into another phase of this because time has run out. But we've heard that. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. But we hope that you are also taking care of the other crucially important aspects to it. Security probably is the number one on that particular list, in addition to the expertise that is going to be required. We've also had some ideas, but one of our callers, Mr. George, said that, look, thank you very much. We need to know what government is doing. So he's hoping that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security will come in and maybe create a talk shop so we know the answer to a lot of the questions we are asking and that we've spoken about here. And we'll just take it from there. We don't have the time to continue anymore. So I want to thank you very much, yes, Mr. Solomon Oyeniran, CEO of Osua Foods and Certified Food Scientist of Nigeria. And indeed to you too, Dr. Olukayode Oyeleye, Agric Business Analyst and Specialist. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right then. So we're going to have to leave it here. That's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow. I am Yori Folarin.